Philosophy. Um, I went to an old land grant college in North Georgia um, back in Stone Age. I received my degree there in 1976. But anyway, the thing I liked about that, this was back in the day before computers and even calculators that were pretty rare. Back then, still used the slide rule for math courses. But in the junior and senior year, all of your tests were just essays. And they used what was called a blue book. It was number of, I think about 20 notebook pages bound up in a blue piece of paper. It was very lightweight, but at any rate, we had to handwrite everything, and you were allowed to bring a dictionary to class for those tests because they were graded pretty strictly. For example, a run-on sentence, for example, would fail you. You get a 0 for your efforts. But the other thing about it is they required as mandatory part of your curriculum, I think what's an abnormal number of philosophy courses, which I really enjoyed. You know, we there's a lot said about common sense. And common sense is really just to analyze things. I'll give you an example. One of the things that I learned in a philosophy course was if you want to test an idea or a statement or whatever, do that by taking it to its logical extreme. Let me give you an example. Back when there was a gasoline crisis back in 1973, and they lowered the speed limit to 55 miles per hour. And the spin on that was it's going to save lives. Actually, what it was about was to save fuel because there was a shortage at that time because of the events in the Middle East. So, but at any rate, let's take that argument about it saves lives. Well, let's take that to the logical extreme. If truly saving lives was the purpose of that, then why don't we take the speed limit to 0? And nobody gets killed in a traffic accident. You've saved a lot of lives. But taking something to this extreme sort of shows, puts a spotlight on the absurdity of things. It was never about saving lives. It was about saving fuel. But the public wasn't going to buy the saving fuel thing, unless they were standing in line for 3 or 4 hours trying to get 5 gallons of gas. But that part of the fuel crisis didn't last too long. So anyway, philosophy just means thinking about things and trying to analyze things. Which brings me to my YouTube channel. What am I doing this for? Well, you know, because there's a lot of YouTube channels and social channels and tweeters and all kinds of ways people can put their ideas out there. So everybody's talking and nobody's listening, I guess, me included to some degree. Although since I'm retired, I spend a lot of time watching the videos on YouTube. For me, it's a way of reaching out and having some kind of contact with other people, their views, however they are, whatever they are. Some of them are very wise and some of them are good laugh. I haven't figured out which category I'm in, but you can decide. Anyway, so I'm trying to decide why I'm doing the YouTube channels. I mean, it takes time to do the recording and the editing and uploading and whatnot, but I enjoy it. And it's not really for self-aggrandizement, if I'm pronouncing that right. I mean, look at my ugly old face, and I'm not in a beauty contest. I'm not an actor or whatever. So it's not that. It may be somewhat that I want to feel relevant. In other words, if I have people viewing my channels, maybe what I've got to say means something to somebody. And particularly when you're retired, you got a lot of time on your hands to think about things. You're thinking about your legacy. Like that's going to make any difference to me when I'm dead and gone, but it may to my children. And that's the other reason I do this is YouTube is an excellent storage medium for these videos that my kids and grandkids and their grandkids may view. Hopefully YouTube will be around for them, or at least be there so they can download the videos if they so choose and put them on some kind of storage medium. But anyway, so I'm trying to decide what it is I'm trying to say. Well, one aspect of my videos is on selling covered stock options. That's sort of a passion of mine, and plus it's important income for me. Otherwise, my income is fixed, basically pensions and Social Security. So, and I'm blessed that I'm being a veteran. I have health care from the VA, which, by the way, allowed me to retire early. I retired in 2005, so I've been retired now for 17 years. Is that right? Yeah. Oh. Do the math. Anyway, that's the comic portion of this video. Anyway, so I've got a lot of time. The other, but getting back to the selling covered options, I came up with this whole concept of a transaction set, 6, 7. Well, actually, the idea started in 2005, but it grew and took form so that I put it down in a PowerPoint presentation in 2016. And that is the transaction set, which is the best definition of what I do. That is making a market in selling covered options. I've not seen anything that comes close to that in terms of the clarity of what makes it work. So anybody who's interested in an income stream, that's a document that they must read if they're going to truly understand it. So that's one of my playlists. The other is welding. Years ago, back in between 1976 and 1979, I was working down in nowhere, Mexico. When I say nowhere, it was in the middle of nowhere. And so I had to build things, repair things for metal. And so I did some welding. Had no instruction. I just had a little 110 transformer based welding machine. It wouldn't handle anything above 1/16 inch rods. So very low power. I suspect it was about 30 amps or something like that. But anyway, so I did. Anyway, after that, I didn't have occasion to do any welding. But since I've retired, on YouTube, I saw people welding and what they were building, and I remember that I love to weld. I love to see that steel melt. It's just makes me feel like Zeus, the god of thunder. So anyway, I got back into that as a hobby, and I've spent much more money than I should have doing that. Unfortunately, I live in a 55 plus community, which has very strict rules about what you're allowed to do. And the HOA has raised objections, and I think I've satisfied them in terms of following the rules and whatnot. So that's another aspect. But there's tons and tons of great videos out there on welding of all kinds by people certainly more competent than me. But I thought, well, I'll do that as a playlist to show what it's like to work in the situation I work in, limited space, retirement community. So anyway, that's another thing. So the other thing is, because those of us who actually lived through the 50s and early 60s are going to be all gone. All of us will be gone. I thought maybe I ought to put that on the record. I remember the 50s. It was a great time, mainly because it was so simple. Not that it was really all that great, because we didn't have much back in the 50s, particularly in Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta didn't recover fully from the Civil War until the 1950s. It took nearly 100 years to recover from Sherman's burning down the town. So anyway, I don't labor that point, but at any rate, I'm really searching for something to be relevant to the viewers. I want you to get something out of these videos. I guess I'll keep making them whether you're watching them or not, but I'd like to hear from you. If down in the comments you would tell me what you think of this one and what you'd like to see in the videos I do in the future. I'll try to shape my videos to accommodate the audience, so to speak. I've done quite a few videos on the 50s and 60s in terms of the length of the videos. And I don't know how much detail I need to get into more than that. And for me, the mid 60s was really a turning point for me. That was, I was in the military in '69, which was sort of the height of the Vietnam War. in order to avoid Vietnam, I joined the Air Force. Ended up as a POW in the Middle East, but that's so a lot was going on at that time and particularly in Atlanta, Georgia, in the South. We were going in 62, early 60s, we were going through desegregation. A lot of changes. And I don't know how much of that would be of interest to anybody. But that's going to be a perspective that's going to be lost when all of us are gone. I sure would like to get it down on record. There'd be at least another view of that era. So maybe I'll pursue that. But anyway, if you will, down in the comments, let me know what you want to hear and see. This is the only face I've got. So I can't do anything about that, but I do have a lot of old pictures. So what I may do is incorporate some of the pictures in my videos. Let me know what you think about that. I've got some pictures that go back to the time frame I'm talking about. And in fact, you can see some up on the walls. That's me. Whoops. There we go. There we go. At my duty station in Turkey. And that is the big antennas that we use for communications. 10,000 watt signals on each one of those. And that's me right there, sitting outside the fence. So a lot went on. There's a lot of stories just in those pictures that I could go into in terms of the Middle East, the land where there will never be peace. Never. All right. I don't want to end on that note. So please, if you're interested in continuing to follow me on these ramblings, please subscribe. And if you like it, hit like and notify. I would appreciate it. Thank you so much.